What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mad Max, and today I'm going to be talking about a very serious topic, one that's obviously been on everyone's mind and been on the news lately, and that is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Obviously, the first thing to say is that war is hell wherever it is, whether it's in the Ukraine, whether it's in Yemen, whether it's in Somalia, wherever it may be, there's countless suffering, and that's really what we're seeing now. Similar to the Syrian civil war, in this war, there are thousands, if not millions, of refugees, millions displaced, millions suffering as the Russian shelling of Kyiv, the amphibious invasion of Odessa, the cluster bombing in Kharkiv, the vacuum bombing, the countless war crimes that are being committed by the Russian military. It's a very sad, painful situation for anyone living there. I've seen countless stories of children living with cancer having to leave Ukraine to go to Poland, or dads having to be left behind to fight for their homeland as their wives, as sons, their daughters, their children leave to either Poland, Slovakia, Romania, Moldova. And it's just so painful to watch, as I imagine everyone feels the same way. It's so painful just hearing all these stories of suffering, of people losing absolutely everything. You know, there was this one story of this dad having to stay behind in Ukraine while his family fled, and the only thing he had to hold on to was one of his son's toy trucks. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking. Not to mention the countless lives lost, the civilians, the military loss. And obviously, we have to be really mad at Putin and this very crazy war on his end, almost becoming unhinged, basically flattening cities, destroying government buildings. And unfortunately, whether it be from Antony Blinken, Emmanuel Macron, it's almost agreed that this is going to get worse before it gets better, and it's just painful to watch all the suffering that comes with war, just the destruction, and knowing that much more suffering is going to happen, whether it be on the Ukrainian side, obviously, or the Russian side, because you do have to feel bad for these young Russian soldiers as much as you feel bad for the Ukrainian soldiers just defending their homeland. Obviously, they think it's just a special military operation, but it's not. It's a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. These young men just dying for a very stupid cause, as is the case with every war. You know, I have family in Moldova, and many refugees are going there for safety, as well as EU countries. Then we'll have to talk about Putin and his threats of nuclear war, the shelling of a nuclear plant, the largest in Europe, if not the world, I believe, on fire. And thankfully for now, it doesn't seem like there's some sort of meltdown, which would just add to the absolute disaster that's going on right now. The world, obviously, is issuing tons of sanctions against Russia and the oligarchs, really clamping down on business. And obviously, what's incredible, obviously, there's just so much suffering, but the number of people that are willing to help, the countries that are willing to help all these suffering individuals. And I also have to give props to the Russians in Russia that are protesting. Obviously, the older generation, especially, that aren't on the internet as much, are watching Russian state media, and they're believing the lies on that media. Obviously, that's not to leave Western corporate media off the hook, but just the lies, the suffering. That being said, props to the Russians in all the cities protesting this war. It takes a lot of courage in a country where you could be locked away or worse. In terms of death estimates, Russians are undercounting. Estimates of 500 Russians dead, whereas other estimates have about 1,500 deaths on either side, countless more injured. It's just horrifying that now the shelling is being ramped up, whether it's in the south, in Odessa, in Mariupol, in Kherson, which seems to have been taken by the Russians. The nuclear plant seized nearby. Really scary that they were shelling it, and that parts of it were on fire. Government buildings in Kharkiv literally flattened. Artillery fire in Kyiv, shelling buildings that people live in, hospitals, government buildings. There's that 40-mile convoy still waiting outside Kyiv. The entire city is surrounded by Russian artillery, Russian tanks, and so far the Ukrainians are putting up a brave fight. I'm not sure how much longer this could last. Resources, ammunition is running out on the Ukrainian side. On the Russian side, it seems like Putin's intent is to overthrow the government, put in a puppet, and then comes an insurgency similar to what was seen in Iraq, even in Vietnam, Afghanistan, and there's just going to be more suffering. It's really heartbreaking. Obviously, I think we should all do a little bit to help in the situation, as we should in any hellish war situation throughout the globe. War is just hell. Countless lives lost, lots of suffering in the middle of the winter time. It's cold. The Russians are slowly taking control of electrical grids, the power plants, destroying gas depots. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse. Cities in the south, including Mariupol, are starving. They don't have enough water. The cluster bombing, the vacuum bombing, the countless war crimes, the countless atrocities. And we'll have to see what the fate of Putin is, the fate of Russia, and sadly, I don't think this is ending anytime soon. Even if and when the Russian tanks come into Kyiv, there's going to be uprisings, as I mentioned. These people do not want the Russians there. Obviously, in the east, in Russian-speaking places, they're more favorable towards Russia, while the rest of the country wants nothing to do with Russia. They're looking westward. They're seeing the success of former Soviet satellites, such as Poland, the Baltic states, and who knows how long this will last. Sadly, I fear this could be going on for a really long time. It's just speechless. Tragedy doesn't even begin in any war scenario, obviously. This one is no exception, and that's a big takeaway. At the end, cities are being destroyed, people are displaced. One would hope that somehow this can be resolved, but at this point, it just seems like it's going to be going on for a really long time. The suffering, and that's when the world needs to come together and support Ukrainians. That's all I have for now. I'm definitely going to update again. We're more than a week into this, and who knows what's going to happen next. It's your boy Mad Max, over and out.